Leaders emphasize that no career field standards will be lowered in the new pipeline. Combat controllers, pararescuemen, special reconnaissance operators, and tactical air control party specialists will still complete all previous training standards at equal levels. That is huge. The goal of pipeline optimization is not to change the intensity or difficulty of the Air Force's special warfare pipeline, but to make the process of producing qualified operators more effective. That's a big paragraph.
One's ready. Go!
You know, I don't even know what I was just thinking to myself as I was getting ready to hit record. Hi, it's Aaron. Welcome back to the 130 podcast. As I was getting ready to record, I was checking myself out, looking at my, making sure my shirt looks nice. No big deal. Anti-social media influencer. I love it. It works two ways. That's the joke. I was thinking to myself, what am I going to say? And I started really worrying, what am I going to say during the intro? It's been a little bit since I recorded, and I'll explain why that is the way that it is too. It's a great thing. But then I remembered, I heard Peach's voice in my head. He was like, what are you doing? Just hit record, idiot. You don't need prep. So here we are. Welcome back. So a couple of weeks ago on October 10th, we put out a reel I did specifically where I said that I wanted to talk about a press release that was passed to us from the Special Warfare Training Wing. And also I want to start off with gratitude. I said it in the reel. Y'all, thank you. Thank you very much. That is awesome. Help us get the message out there. If you got anything, Special Warfare Training Wing, hit us up. We're your mouthpiece. We got you out there. So this is one of those opportunities. They put out a press release. We were lucky enough to be on the CC line of this press release, and we're going to go through it today. And I'm going to do my best to translate it. Now, I do want to own up to something. I said that day when it came out, I wanted to make some content on it that day. I don't know why I would say that. So I had a newborn, and they were like 4 days premature. So it's not really premature, right? She was to term. Everything was fine. She's healthy now. Everything's great, but she was technically super early, right? For a couple of different reasons. And I couldn't speak for 20 minutes forward of my time, let alone make some content and get it out there. So I overpromised here a little bit, and I apologize. So we're going to get that done now. Shout out to Peaches for holding me accountable on that one too, because basically he was like, hey, you piece of crap, are you going to ever come back on this? Literally the text message today, I should read it off, but it was something effective like, hey, has this ship sailed? Or are you actually going to do this content? And he sent me my own reel. That's the kind of shaming that goes on behind the scenes here at the 130 podcast. But it gets you content, and it gives you something important. And that's what we're going to talk about. Before we jump into that, we're going to talk about tasty gains. I'm going to bring it up here on the screen. Let's talk about protecting your brain. You guys want to talk about actually living forever, which is stuff that I'm trying to do? Let's talk about protecting your brain. Go over to Tasty Gains right now. Why am I talking about protecting your brain? Well, because creatine, there's a lot of research right now that shows cognitive benefit, protection of the brain function and how the brain works. It helps your brain function a little bit better if you take creatine, especially dudes that have maybe had some blast injuries or TBIs or what have you. Especially if you're sleep deprived, it helps a lot when you're very, very tired. So lots of interesting studies on creatine. Well, our friends over at Tasty Gains have the best tasting creatine gummies on the freaking market. I love these things. I eat them all the time, getting 12 grams of creatine. No problem. I just absolutely down them. I could crush them. I'm not supposed to. I hope my wife does. My wife actually does not listen to this podcast because imagine having to listen to me all day and then listen to me talk about something that you're only sort of tangentially related to. Terrible. Awful. I'm not supposed to give these to my young son. He's had a couple Tasty Gains creatine gummies. Okay. Yeah. Is he 20 months old? Yes. Is he trying to be big and strong? Yes. Does creatine help with development? I can't say that. I'm not a scientist. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration to treat, cure, or prevent any disease. I'm just out here, dog. I love Tasty Gains. Go over, check them out. Their pre-workout gummies are great too. But if you want to really put together, I'm calling this the brain stack, because I was thinking before this episode what I'm going to call this. I'm calling this the brain stack. Go get yourself some creatine gummies. You see it up on the screen there. Get yourself some of this nootropic. This nootropic is absolutely fire, right? It helps my brain operate at a high level. You couple that with just a little bit of creatine in the morning, you have all that goodness. Bam. Check it out. You can go. The creatine gummies are there. Again, third-party verified. I know you've heard about some creatine gummies that don't exactly have what they're supposed to have in them. Not Tasty Gains, baby. Not Tasty Gains, baby. So go check them out. Tasty Gains. We love you guys. And also, once you're ready to go, once you get your creatine gummies on board, once your brain is protected, and go over to Modern Athlete Strength. You can just go check it out. You can go through our website, or you can go straight to Modern Athlete Strength. You can go for Warfighter Foundation Strength at the Warfighter Program, all these things. Coach Jimmy, Coach Eric, all the folks over at Modern Athlete Strength, they are absolutely great friends of ours. Go check them out for everything that you need. Man, you got that run, rock, carry, you got the lumberjack, you got everything you possibly need. My favorite, Team Lunch Pail. Shout out to Team Lunch Pail, Coach Jimmy. Fantastic beard, even better, dude. Go over to Modern Athlete Strength, check them out, everything that you need to prepare for the pipeline. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into it. So buckle up. Thanks for bearing with me there. We want to say thanks to the team over at Tasty Gains and over at Modern Athlete Strength, by the way. Good folks. We only work with people that we absolutely love and trust. Those guys both fit that category. So shout out to Tasty Gains and to Modern Athlete Strength. So here's the deal. October 10th, the Air Force Special Warfare Training Wing put out a little press release to at least get some information out in front of people. We have been, if you are a fan of the page, if you've liked, subscribe, which I really hope you do, hit that like, subscribe button. It's free. Share it with a friend. I don't know. Try to get us a little bit more pump on the thing. We'd love to be able to talk to more of y'all and get more people into Air Force Special Operations, but it's dependent on you sharing it and stuff. So yada, yada. There's the call for action, as they call it, the biz. So the Special Warfare Training Wing has been going through, let's call it a point of inflection. Basically, what's been going on is that Air Force Special Warfare Training Wing has been constantly looking at fixing processes to get people, more people usually, and then those people that we do have faster. Those are usually the two things we're always trying to fix, right? More people into the pipeline and out to the job, and then faster is always the two things since the beginning of time. So they've been looking at that for a while. There's been a lot of changes. We did a lot of episodes. I think it's episode 497 and 498. You can go look at all the pipeline changes and what it's supposed to be. And we talked about the Zulu course, and we laid out kind of what the pipelines would look like and whatever else. But that was sort of in absence of some formal guidance. And we really did hit the Special Warfare Training Wing up. We were like, hey guys, if you want people to stop having this rumor mill stuff, well, then just put out a statement, say what you're going to do, try to be transparent about it. I think that's what everybody wanted, right? Now, I will say, in defense of the Special Warfare Training Wing, people are so used today to instantly having exactly what they want that they've become entitled and accustomed to having somebody respond to them right away. That's not how the military works. So I get it. You've been banging on the table because you're like, oh, we just heard about this. Where's the formalized? I got it. But you're going to have to take a breath. There's like 500 people that are working on this with 4 separate commands, everybody with competing interests and budgets, and the government is shut down and all this other stuff, right? So you're not going to get answers right away. You're not going to be able to sit down with somebody. And even if they did, they'd explain their whole plan and then you wouldn't accept it, right? You'd still be mad at it. So all those things are what they are. But those things aside, Special Warfare Training Wing came out October 10th. Here's what we're going to do with this press release, October 10th, 2025. I'm going to read it, and then I've got some notes, and I'm basically going to translate this thing for you because it's put out by PA, no shot to them, but they like the military writing is, you can see it a mile away, and this is written in military writing, right? So for people that are listening that aren't necessarily in the military, I'm going to read this, and then I'm going to kind of give you my take on it, my vibe on it. There's no shots at anybody here. I'm not going to like make fun of anything. I'll probably make fun of myself, but because I deserve it. But we're just going to read it line by line. We're going to talk about this one, and then you guys will have everything that you need, and then an explainer for what it is, and then most importantly, what to look for next. At the end of this one too, before I forget, I'm going to write this little note. There is a thing that people are doing right now. They're basically, here's what I'll say. I think that there's a way that people are gaming the system right now and doing things that hurts the candidates, the development program, and Air Force Special Warfare Assessment Selection. I think it hurts that process. I think they're knowingly doing it, and I'm going to call it out, and I'm going to get it out in front of everybody. And I want to end that issue. Okay. That's your little teaser for later. So stick around to the end. Let's get into this press release. Air Force Special Warfare Training Wing launches Pipeline Optimization Initiative, Chapman Annex, Texas. The Air Force Special Warfare Training Wing has launched Pipeline Optimization, an initiative designed to streamline how special warfare candidates train, progress through the pipeline, and arrive at operational readiness. So that's the first paragraph. Now we're just going to go into my translate. We're going to do this the whole way, right? Like the end state is an operator that's fully qualified per the CFETP. And here's the fastest explainer that I possibly can. Your career field has a menu of items that they want. They have a menu of items and it's like good, better, best. That's the AFSC progression, 3 level, 5 level, 7 level, 9 level. Well, in the pipeline, you're at a 1 level. That menu of things should be pretty small. They say you should do these number of things. Once you're qualified, we're going to get you on to the next one. By the time you're done with a pipeline, you should have these numbers of line items done, and then poof, you're gone. The problem is that not every career field agrees or has agreed on what that base level problem was, right? Like all the CFETPs are a little bit all over the place for 3-level requirements and 5-level requirements and some courses and all this other stuff. All that to say, we just need you qualified at that low level and be ready to go do the real job, which is becoming a special operator. Remember, we get so focused on San Antonio, Lackland Air Force Base, San Antonio Joint Base, San Antonio Training, and all these single places that live inside of San Antonio, Texas, is you forget your job is to go to the 2-1, to the 2-2, to the 48th, to the 68th, to overseas, to Oki. Your job is to go do that job as a special operator, not just to get through the pipeline, right? So we just need to accept. And there's a nuance there where, listen, if you graduate as a pipeline guy, you're deployable like when you get to your team. But we all understand there's going to be more training that you have to do, right? So, of course, the units, there's going to be this natural tension. The units are going to go, okay, well, we want the most qualified dude ever because we don't want to have to train him. We just want to deploy him. And then AETC and the training enterprise goes, well, we can't do that because it would be 7 years worth of time for us to do all these things. So we're going to be able to give you, like, we have to come to terms on what is the core level. What's that menu of items that we need to call it good, right? And both sides have to give a little. AETC isn't going to be able to do everything. They're not going to be able to give you a 7 level, right? That's just ridiculous. That's like 5 straight years that they would have them. That's crazy, right? But on the other side of it too, so the teams are going to have to train, but on the other side of it too, they shouldn't have to train with everything or redo all the training. Okay, so that's fair. That's where that tension has been. This has been an existing problem since the beginning of time, by the way. Like, this has just been a thing. The end state of the pipeline, remember, is an operator that's fully qualified for the CFETP and ready for their unit. That's what we're trying to do here. That's the goal for all of this stuff. So I just wanted to frame it like that. So the next paragraph, the effort reduces inefficiencies in the current training structure, where some skills were previously taught redundantly and candidates sometimes had to wait in between courses. Pipeline optimization introduces a cohesive end-to-end training model that increases efficiency while maintaining the rigorous standards associated with the Air Force Special Warfare Pipeline. So to highlight this, so what we're talking about here is called SNIT. SNIT, so student not in training. That's how much time in between courses, and I'm trying to get my Mac to do this thing. There we go. It's how much time in between courses you were basically waiting for school. So you don't graduate on a Friday and go to school on Monday on every single thing. It's not like you graduate SEER on Friday and then Monday you're at Airborne and then you graduate Airborne 3 weeks later and the following Monday you're at free fall. That's not how it works, right? There's always some sort of lag time, holidays, what have you, that give you training time. They give you time that's not training. Student not in training, SNIT. To highlight this fact, I'm going to bring up this little graph that we got going here. Check this bad boy out. So current pipeline right now, when we talk about SNIT, look at PJ. 468 program training days. We're supposed to have 195. That's the expectation when you say program SNIT. That's how much downtime that you would have. The actual for PJs is twice that. Crazy. For controllers, it's more than twice that. That's crazy. For SR, more than twice that. That's crazy. TAC-P, pretty much right on. 12 days. That's a super small sample size. No, that's super small. So their programs to an actual SNIT is actually very, very small comparatively. Obviously, PJs are going to have the most just because their pipeline is the longest with all the stuff that they need to do. But this is the point, right? This is the current pipeline. Look at the optimized pipeline, right? So this is what they're talking about for SNIT. So we see the changes down at the bottom that are listed in the green, program training days. We're looking at saving 111 days of SNIT for PJ. These are all projections, and we're going to talk about that later. I have a whole thing on them. I just wanted to get your eyes on this little chart to start off. But we can see all over here across the board, everything looks better. And it looks like we can get more training done with less training time down, which, to be honest with you, I'm here for. Here's the way that they're going to do it. So now that we understand what SNIT is, we have to make that as streamlined as possible. You have to be able to get to these schools, and there's all these other conversations too about, should we get rid of these schools in the pipeline? That's why dive school is not in right now, right? When this was removed from the pipeline, when dive was removed from the pipeline, they essentially used the time argument to remove dive from the pipeline by saying we're going to get combat controllers, stows, and special reconnaissance airmen to their units faster. And then the units can worry about it. Remember that professional tension that I said at the beginning between the training command and the team side of it, like the input and the output end of these pipelines? At the input end, you've got AETC being like, well, we don't have the time. Like, if you want to cut down the time, just have them get rid of dive school and have them do it at the units. Now the units are like having to do dive school at theirs, right? But time was one of the major components of that. It was like, hey, we can just get it there. The PJs weren't playing that game. The PJs have a dive requirement, so they're like, no, they're going to dive in the pipeline. It's just happening. But for everybody else, they're like, okay, yeah, ASOC gets them faster, fine. If it's a unit problem, it's a unit problem. That's literally how that went. We all remember that. So the other thing that they do here is the skills being taught redundantly, right? So the skills being taught redundantly, basically what they're talking about is each one of the courses, as we outlined in the other programs, they would teach land navigation, right? Everybody, PJs would learn land nav, SEER instructors would teach land nav to, PJs, TAC P dudes down at their schoolhouse, combat controllers, yada, yada, yada. Well, why didn't you just all learn that together? Why isn't that a core skill set? Like land nav, shoot, move, communicate, right? So the idea to consolidate everything, and we're going to talk about the Zulu course because they have a whole paragraph on it here, but the idea to consolidate everything, the way that reduces redundancy and saves you time is that you're only doing that thing one time, and then you can take those little blocks outside of that course. So for instance, this is how it's going to shorten the apprentice courses. So when you think about the entire pipeline, again, we're so focused on San Antonio, Texas, we kind of forget there's pieces and parts after San Antonio, Texas. But the folks down at Kirtland, they're looking at stuff. They're going to take all those things that they were teaching there, shoot, move, communicate, mission planning. And they've got they talk about what's in the Zulu course here in a second. But you take all those pieces out. Well, now you don't have to teach it at that school. So those weeks come off the back end, right? So it's not necessarily leaning out every single block of stuff. The way that you arrange things can sometimes help with efficiencies. And then if you just do things one time to a standard at a Zulu course, for instance, then you can just be done with it. And then everybody's on the same standard and you're go. The second sentence, the note that I have written here is it's a lot of words for what you already explained above. Pipeline optimization includes a cohesive end-to-end training model that increases efficiency while maintaining. Yeah, I know. That's what we said above, right? It was that first thing that we started off of is like the operator from end to end. The goal here is to graduate the pipeline. To the next paragraph, pipeline optimization is about delivering more capable airmen to the fight faster, said Colonel Kaveri Crum. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Commander of the Special Warfare Training Wing. We're eliminating friction points in how we train so we can produce lethal, mission-ready operators without delay. First of all, here for it. It's a great soundbite. Should be a social media reel. I'll tell you straight up, Colonel. Like what the fact that I didn't see you say this in front of a bunch of dudes at a pool, training behind them, doing WaterCon, going out there on a ruck in the spaces, getting seen by HPO. The fact that I can't hear those words over that imagery, it's a miss. Holler at me if you need some social media help. But that's a great quote. That's what we want to see. That's what we want to hear, right? The friction points that are going to remain free fall, high demand, low density courses. Some unclear policies about dive right now. I'd like that clarified is who actually gets to go to dive school. Like if you pass WaterCon as a TAC B guy, are they going to let you go to dive school? Because that was floated around for a little bit. I don't know if that's happening. Or for combat control, is there the option for them if they do really well in assessment selection, Zulu, the WaterCon, and they're recommended to go to dive school? Are they allowed to go to dive school or are they not? Because if they can go to dive school, if they passed the selection water confidence sections that are needed for them to get the nod to go to the dive school, right? Whether that's pre-dive or not. Can you go to dive school? That'd be interesting to know. But that's a great quote, Colonel. Good job. Next quote here, next part of the paragraph. 2 major outcomes of pipeline optimization of the Zulu course and a redesigned assessment and selection. Notice what order is that in? Zulu course, assessment, selection. The Zulu course is a 16-week common skills course that provides all special warfare trainees with foundational instruction before they enter their respective career field training. Among other skills, the Zulu course will cover small unit tactics, communication, mission planning. The updated assessment selection course has been redesigned to better evaluate candidates' physical capabilities, cognitive performance, and overall personal character. Okay, a lot of words there. So, as I noted, I'm going to put these little lip pillows in here. As I noted, it's interesting to me. that they put Zulu first before, hey, we're updating assessment selection and we're making a Zulu course out of it. I think it's probably just because people have been asking about it like a whole lot. So that's probably why you put Zulu out there first and then talk about the changes to assessment selection afterwards. But is what it is. We'll talk about the changes to assessment selection. We kind of went over it again. If you want to deep dive into what that's supposed to be, again, nothing's been approved. There was the memo that was kind of the all stop on all this stuff, which is what the press release is, meant to address. Where are we? We're in the development stage. So go listen to that episode if you want a full dive into the ANS, what it's supposed to be, land-based, not land-based, whatever. It's interesting they put Zulu first. I'm just going to say it outright. I'm a huge fan of the Zulu course idea. Now, if it doesn't work out well, or if it's done poorly, or somewhere in the future where you can be like, oh, I can't believe Aaron loved the Zulu course, I guess. But the idea of the Zulu course, to get everybody together under one roof to learn, shoot, move, communicate, you get to spend more time with your teammates, more time with the pros from those other career fields. You get to interact with a whole bunch of other people, and you're baselining a skill set that everybody needs, and it saves time. There's just not a lot of downside. You'll have to be at San Antonio, Texas for a little bit longer. Great. Okay. San Antonio is a great town. I don't have a downside to the Zulu course. I'm a huge fan of it. Huge fan of it. I hope that they do it the right way. I hope there's magic in the mixing for how long some of these courses are, and how, especially the blocks inside of those courses, or how they're ordered or whatever else. And they're going to have to play around, with those things. They're going to have to figure out how do we order these blocks? Oh, podcast dog's got to go out. Come on, podcast dog. Anyway, sorry, technical difficulty. Had to let out the podcast dog. So we're back to it. I was on a roll too. I think I was talking about how much I just love the Zulu course. I think it's a great idea. We'll have to see how it shakes out. Obviously, this could fail, right? It's just like everything. Every failure is always a possibility, right? It could be the worst thing ever. People, you get nothing out of it. The teams could be super mad. Cats and dogs living together. Who knows? But I feel like it's good. On to the ANS thing. My note for this one says the change in ANS could use some punching up, boys. It could be better. It could be better. I'm not trying to be mean to anybody here, but you're changing the entire pipeline again. It's been constant change since 2015 or whenever we changed it the first time. It's been iteration after iteration. We had the gate. I don't know how many gates we've had at this point, like how many scandals that end in gate, but we could use some clarity. We could use just a little bit of, you described the Zulu course. Hey, it's going to be a 16-week course. It's going to have this training into it and whatever. You could have done the same thing with ANS. If I'm giving my critique as graciously as I possibly could here, right? You could have been like, well, it's an X week course, and here's what you're going to be doing. And you could even put out the order of it. That would have made this an absolute banger for you to be like, hey, ANS, it's an 8-week course, 4 weeks of this, 2 weeks of this, 2 weeks of this, and then you're going to get to the Zulu. And this is how you it doesn't have to be a whole thing, but man, a little blurb like that would have helped. So punch it up a little bit, boys. That's it. The other note that I had for it here as I was reading it, it was like, it either means that, so no course descriptions is talking about ANS, no course description length like you did with the Zulu, either means it isn't solid. So either means it's still in planning and they don't even have enough of those raw materials to put out there yet, because there's a lot of back and forth on stuff like this. So I actually assume that's probably it. Or it's a big enough change that they don't want to freak people out. I mean, it could be a complete reimagining that no one's even heard of. Like, that possibility has to be accepted, that there is some wacky course out there that they're thinking about that we don't even know about. That'd be hilarious. Oh man, I wish I could react to that in real time. That would be fantastic. Anyway, so on with the press release. Previously, students faced gaps between training events due to scheduling limitations. The optimized model greatly reduces student not in training time, SNIT, we've already talked about, by delivering skills and courses in a more deliberate progression. The new structure will reduce SNIT for the average trainee by 62 days, allowing candidates to move more efficiently through the pipeline and arrive at their units better prepared. So we saw from that chart earlier, right? Huge deductions in SNIT. That's aspirational. Okay. That is an aspirational goal. We looked at how much the SNIT is now. So you're talking an average, on that sheet across, was a 62-day savings. Well, a lot of those savings were, pararescue getting cut considerably. Pararescue's got the longest pipeline. If they cut a bunch of their SNIT time down, then obviously like that's where a lot of, and then TAC P's course, they didn't really have that much to start with. So if you cut 3 or 4 days off, that's not really helping the average out, but it really is helping the longer pipelines of pararescue, combat control, SR. Those 3 pipelines are helped considerably by getting rid of this SNIT, right? The program SNIT versus the actual average, that's an issue. Okay. So if you remember from that chart, we programmed it and then we went like 100% more than what we programmed. We went for double what we programmed in most cases. That's not good, guys. We can't do that. Like if we're going to plan it, it's got to stay around that much, or you have to have a real good answer as to why you're missing your goal by 100%. You miss it by 10%. Okay. Yeah. A couple days here, a couple days. What, did you have a snow day or what happened? Some guy, whatever. Some guy had a weird thing that jacked the numbers all up. Fine, whatever. But 100%, bro. Come on. Quote, the team was able to minimize SNIT time for all students while creating a course that teaches skills that are common to all Special Warfare Airmen, said Lieutenant Colonel Brad Crossan, Chief of Staff of the Special Warfare Training Wing. Ultimately, we can get more capable airmen to their operational units faster. Let me reread that because we're going to talk about it here in a second. Ultimately, we can get more capable airmen to their operational units faster. So this is a personal opinion. Sir, this is not a shot at you, Colonel Brad Crossan. I'm sure you're a good dude. This is not you. This feels like cap to me. It's an iterative process. We're going to change this process a bunch of times. Okay. The entire to include the Zulu course, every single thing that we're going to put out there, it's going to be an iterative process, right? Things are going to change. They're essentially a living, breathing course that we're always trying to make better. So minimizing SNIT time for all students, it looks like you did. That's great. We're going to have to see where that average comes out though, like where the actual average as opposed to the program. Because right now, you're basically cutting your time in half. If we assume that we're going to see the same increase by like 1.5% or 1.5 or like 1.25 in some cases of those numbers, that's still a lot of SNIT, dude. And you're not really reducing it that much. If your average, it's a little bit like with numbers. Yeah, we're going to be able to release 62 days, but that 62-day number becomes 31 if we double our program SNIT timeout, right? Or maybe even more than that. So point beaten into the ground. The other one here is, how are they more capable? So the thing that I read twice, ultimately we can get more capable airmen to their operational units faster. Now this is, I think it might be nitpicky as I'm thinking through it, as I'm talking through it. When you say that they're going to be more capable, how? Are we giving them different training? Is there going to be better training? How are they more capable? From what I'm seeing from optimization, we're going to reduce SNIT time. We're going to reduce time spent with redundant training. We're going to consolidate redundant training. Okay, we got time savings out of that, but how are they more capable? Aren't we just doing the exact same pipeline or at least first part of the pipeline in a shorter time period? Is that maybe I'm unclear on it. Maybe I need some education on it. But words matter. And sometimes like this, like if I'm thinking that, if I'm like, well, how are they going to be more capable? That sounds like you saying it. Remember earlier in this, and we're going to get to my favorite paragraph of this actually follows it. So I want you, and we'll do it this way. I want you to remember where I am in this little rant is we're talking about how do we get more capable airmen to the operational units. And I'm hitting him on wordplay here, but let's go to the next paragraph and I'll tie it together for you. Leaders emphasize that no career field standards will be lowered in the new pipeline. Combat controllers, pararescuemen, special reconnaissance operators, and tactical air control party specialists will still complete all previous training standards at equal levels. That is huge. That's a big 3 words there. At equal levels. The goal of pipeline optimization is not to change the intensity or difficulty of the Air Force's special warfare pipeline, but to make the process of producing qualified operators more effective. That's a big paragraph. And that's why I'm nitpicking the above paragraph's words, is listen to how strongly this is worded. Leaders emphasize that no career field standards will be lowered in the new pipeline period. That's an opening. That's a big shot across the bow for a couple reasons. And we're going to kind of deep dive into this. Combat controllers, pararescuemen, SR operators, TAC-P complete all previous training standards at equal levels. So maybe this is where he's talking about more capable, because we're not going down to the lowest common denominator. That Zulu course is training to a high level that's going to be standardized across the career field. Some career fields are going to do things earlier in their pipeline to a higher standard than they did before. That is a true statement. So maybe that's what they're talking about, but that's why I'm so nitpicky about the word more capable. I would want to hear that explanation. I'd want to hear that connection and go, this is how they're more capable. Not just they got through the pipeline faster, but this is how they're more capable getting to their units. That's a big deal. This paragraph right here, the goal of pipeline optimization is not to change the intensity or difficulty. That entire paragraph that we let off there, that's the one. That is a great piece of content to put out. Kudos to you guys. This is the first time that we've said that plainly, that there's been official messaging that I can remember that we're like, no, listen, here is the freaking deal, man. We're not lowering standards. We're going to get you guys to complete all your previous training, equal levels. You're going to go out qualified, and we're going to make the process of producing qualified operators more effective. Period. That is great. That is, and again, that should be a social media reel. It should be the colonel. It should be the commander. It should be the boss and the chief, and they should be saying those words. So when they're like, why are we changing the pipeline? This is why. This is it. Make it more effective. For two reasons also, this is great. Two reasons. Number one, this is clear expectations. It's calling your shot. I love it when people call their shot. Be right, be wrong, but have the intestinal fortitude to call your shot, to say what you're going to do and try to follow up on it. It's okay to fail. I've failed before. Everybody's failed before. I've said some things and not been able to produce those things. It sucks. You learn from it, you move on, right? But I love it when you call your shot. So good. Call your shot. Number two, it opens the door to this back and forth process we have. It's called accountability. Because now we're all watching. You said that we weren't lowering standards. You said that we were going to make this more efficient. You said that we're going to produce more capable operators to the units. You said that it was going to be a better product. More capable airmen, trained to equal levels. That better be a very high level. I'm a PJ. I'll tell you what, that pipeline training, better not go down 1%. If PJs are doing harder skills earlier in the pipeline, those other career fields, guess what? You're doing harder skills early in the pipeline. We ain't waiting on you. Is what it is. It's a meritocracy. We're here to be lethal. We're not here to have equity in our training pipeline. Equity is equity of outcome. No. High standards. You said it. You just promised me, you a teammate. You promised me a teammate that you're going to protect our standards and our culture. All right. We're watching. It sounds threatening. It does, but Dooms is watching. Shelves is watching. Angry Cops, Mad Minute, they're out there watching you, waiting. Valhalla VFT, just teeing it up, just waiting. They've had a lot of problems with Green Berets recently, so he's excited to talk about somebody else. He does hit me up, and he's like, "Hey, Halfshock is never really getting into like big trouble." Well, you're just not on the inside of it, brother. We don't. Not really. But we're watching. We'll be the first to call it out. We have tried, when I say we, I say myself, Peaches, Trent. We have tried to be very measured on how we approach this stuff. We understand stuff's going to change all the time because we engage with you younger folks all the time. We understand how y'all are. You want things right away. You text too much information. You text novels of questions. It's really like a sentence long. I got it. But because we have knowledge of both sides of that, we try to approach this in a measured way. You deserve the information. You deserve to understand what's going on. You deserve to be part of the process of that back and forth. How much do you get to call things inside that process? Probably not a lot. We can talk about it in the comment section, I guess. But all that to say, it's valuable to have everybody included. Like that paragraph where you promised us that you were going to keep the standard and that this is what was going on. That's what we need. That's the leadership we need. That's my critique of that paragraph. Continue. That's the type of messaging we need distilled. Exactly what we do. Clear guidance and intent. Money. Good job. Pipeline optimization doesn't change what we do. It strengthens how we produce our operators, says Colonel Crum. Our airmen are already the most elite in the world. Now they'll get to fight with more cohesion, more capability, and less delay. Colonel, put it on a reel, homie. Put it on a reel. That reel would bang. Oh, it would bang so hard. Oh my, I just can't. I'm going to get clipped for saying what I just said. It's good content. That's it. Bang. It'd be so good. You'd have a bunch of B-roll, Ospreys taking off, CCAT people performing surgery on planes, crazy stuff out in the middle of nowhere, special reconnaissance dudes, stows in a talk, drinking coffee, making PowerPoints, looking at the next stop roster. Who's next up for this school? I spent 8 hours making a next stop roster one time. Anyway, should be a reel, sir. That'd be a good one. Anyway, pipeline optimization is aligned with Air Education and Training Command's ongoing effort to modernize the force development enterprise and ensure the Air Force remains prepared for the future fight. As long as they all get along, sure. There's like 4 different stakeholders, shareholders. There's a million shareholders. There's a bunch of stakeholders. AETC, 2nd Air Force, Special Warfare Training Wing. The individual career fields care about this stuff deeply, which isn't the same. This is hard to explain to somebody that's not from the inside, but there's layers to this game, right? Like PJs care about things more deeply than certain things controllers care about. Like we obviously connect as a career field and focus on something more than the controllers do. And we all do it, right? And that's not good or bad. I'm just saying we all have different interests that we're all trying to do because we are all our own distinct people. We are our own distinct career field. So you have that internal sort of, green feet and lightning bolts and berets and cats and all kinds of stuff that's our imagery and stuff that we connect with and things that we care about, right? So all those interests are competing. So as long as everybody can get together and get to that end state, hey man, we did it. We'll see. So that's how it ends. So October 10th, 2025, Special Warfare Training Wing. There it is. I'm sorry that it took so long to make this happen. I had a preemie newborn. Sorry. I'm not sorry about that. She's awesome. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for liking, subscribing. It's free. If you want to share this show with everybody you know, that'd be a sweet one. This is a little bit of a shorter episode. Hopefully it was chock full of information that you did need and nothing that you didn't. We have questions too, and we send those questions out to the Air Force Special Warfare Training Wing all the time. But if you need any of your questions answered, you know where to come. And it's the official, unofficial podcast of the Air Force Special Warfare. Thanks, y'all. From Peaches, from Trent. You guys are great. Appreciate you. We'll see you next time. Out here.